clarinet that I used in the Kegelstadt recording is this one. It was made for me by Peter van der Pol. It's a beautiful clarinet, and it's modelled on an instrument by Theodor Lotz, which is in the museum in Geneva. The instrument is made of boxwood and brass keys covered in leather and a plastic replacement for ivory, which is more suitable in today's market. This instrument has 5 keys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the keys are, it's a flat piece of metal covered with leather, and that covers a flat plate where which houses the tone hole going straight into the instrument. I became interested in these instruments initially from a point of view of study, but as soon as I got my hands on an early clarinet, I just wanted to play it. I think there was something very attractive about the physical nature of making all of the notes. On a modern instrument, we have keys, buttons, rings, lots of aids to help us produce each note in tune and with a clear sound. And when you play on an instrument such as this, obviously it's much simpler in design, but I love the fact that I'm dealing with a piece of wood and that I have to work with the piece of wood in order to create all of the notes up and down the scale. Interestingly, we still have the same range of notes on this instrument as exists on a modern clarinet. If I close all of the holes up, that note is a written E. That's the same as on my modern B-flat clarinet, a written E sounding D, and the instrument will go as high as I can play it. Finding fingerings for the Altissimo register is something that I can do on this instrument just as well as I can do on a modern clarinet. So whereas with a modern instrument, when you climb up the scale, you basically open up a new hole to shorten the tubing. On this instrument, where there isn't a hole, then we have to find another way to create the intermediate tones along the instrument. So we start with the bottom note there, and we can open a hole. And I can open another hole, and I can open another hole there. I can open another hole there. When I want to play a note in between for which there isn't a key, then I need to use something called a forked fingering. And this would be my first forked fingering. That would be to play the written note B flat in the low register. I'd need to use a fingering something like this, and that's a forked fingering. The fact that we have one hole open and one note closed will change the colour, the tonal colour of the sound. And there are several things we need to know about that. Along with the change of colour, the note is liable to be too bright in intonation, and so I'll need to work hard to make sure that that note is played in tune with whatever ensemble I'm working with. And I might need to lower it by shading this open hole to some degree. I might also close a hole lower down the instrument to lower the pitch, and I might also adapt my embouchure to do that. So there's quite a lot of work to make sure that that note will come out in tune. The other thing I'll need to do is that the sound won't be as clear as it would be from an open tone hole. So I'll also need to work at producing a good supported and full tone on that note, working harder than I would need to do on a modern instrument. That's not to say that it's acceptable to play with a poor tone on these notes, but we need to work hard to produce a good tone, and it will differ in colour from the sound of an open hole note, and that gives us actually an opportunity for varying the musical line as we play a piece. It's one of the reasons why a chromatic scale played on this instrument, although it may take more work than a chromatic scale on a modern instrument, it will, however, have much more colour variety and will give us a sense of a kind of sensuous movement through those sounds rather than a very straight and direct movement through the sounds. And I think that's one of the features which is explored in the Kegelstadt trio. We have some chromatic passages, and those offer us an opportunity to give a different quality to the musical line. They also give us an opportunity to explore the temperaments that we use in classical period music. when we recorded the Kegelstadt, the piano was tuned to a velotti temperament. And that means that it's not tuned with each semitone equidistant from the next. It means that the tuning of the scale is angled towards the key that we're going to play in. And so within the velotti temperament, we have the opportunity to tune the fifths in the flat keys pure. And this means that when we move towards the sharp keys, then those notes are made slightly smaller, so they're reduced by about 1/6 of a comma. And this means that as we move through different tonalities, some tonalities will be more pure than in equal temperament and more sweet. And it also means that when we move away from our home tonality, that there will be a very slight sense of discomfort in the harmony, and that allows us to increase the sense of tension and journey as we go through the piece.